Hello, hello, everyone. Hello. Let me know that you can hear me, that you can see me. I'm using my new laptop. So let's see who's joining me tonight. Put something in the comments. I can't see you unless you comment or send me some hearts. I see some hearts, but I still can't see who that is. Let's see. Oh, hey, Jack. Oh, I can't see. I can tell. Awesome. 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 Let's see. Let's give it a few seconds for some folks to jump on. Hey, Jack from Massachusetts. So, hmm. Had some full days. I had a birthday on Tuesday, which was amazing. I've actually been celebrating my birthday since last Friday. So that was good. I've eaten a lot of good food, probably too good. I'm going to need to do some detoxing and some replenishing. So let's see. You took yours already, Jack? I know you're always on it. Gets the sludge out. I love that. We are not talking about sludge tonight, though, Jack. Although, maybe in a way. Maybe in a way. And I saw my friend Dirk. He is going to pop up. Where are you, Dirk? I thought you'd get on by now. Thanks, Jack. Thank you. I'll kind of celebrate through the whole month, right? Birthdays are definitely made to be celebrated. Life is made to be celebrated. So. All right. Well, we're 2.5 minutes in. So I'm going to give it another 20 seconds, let some other folks jump on, and then I'm going to get into my topic because I have been tasked with this topic. Not that I don't think about this topic on my own, but I have been tasked and challenged to actually talk about it on live. And so I did some more homework on it too. And so what I'm going to talk about tonight is rejection, right? And so all of us have experienced rejection over and over, um, and it's not a good feeling. It depended on how you're approaching it. And so I wrote down, kind of went into a definition because I always think that that's probably a good place to start because I always find it interesting when you read a definition. Sometimes what you were thinking about that particular term. Hey, Kenya, how are you? Hey, Dirk. Um, wasn't quite accurate. And then you find out there are other components to it. So I'm going to share the definition first. So, the definition for rejection is the dismissing or refusal of a proposal, idea, or any anything else. You wanted to do something, somebody else didn't. You know, you thought that this was a good idea to add to um, the business, or maybe as a student. Oh my gosh, do we get rejection, or at least we look at it that way when we get our papers graded or something like that? And you think, wow, all those red marks on there, that feels like rejection, like you didn't know what you were doing. Um, and so rejection is tricky. So now listening to that definition, it doesn't sound so bad, right? But then there's a second definition, and I think this is the one especially, although we get rejected many different ways in different relationships and different scenarios, but definitely in like a romantic um, relationship. This says the spurning. That word alone hurts, spurning of a person's affections, right? So I think a lot of times we may connect, when we have had that experience, we may connect that particular negative experience of like a romantic relationship and that spurning or that rejection that someone has. They don't feel the same way. um, I've been there. I think all of us have been there. And so now what happens is when you have that experience again, not necessarily the same situation, that memory of that emotion, the emotional memory, actually, that's what gets triggered. And so, and how we respond to that and then create a habit of responding. So I went and I went and listened to this TED talk that this gentleman did, Jiang, and he did something interesting. He did 100 days of rejection. Like he was looking for rejection, looking for it. I don't know about you, but I'm not sure I'm looking for it. But I do handle it better now, especially with my business with Tava. But so he went into this, he told a story about when he was 6 years old, and his teacher did something that she thought was going to be good. She thought that they would give each other compliments. The third graders would give each other compliments. Hey, Sandra. And, she had all these presents. And so each time somebody gave a compliment, then they would go and pick up presents. Well, it came down to three students remaining, and Gia, he was actually one of them. And they were standing there, and the teacher says, doesn't have anyone have any compliment for these three? And then I guess she felt she didn't know what to do. So she said, well, just go get your presents and be good next year, and maybe somebody will say something good about you. Wow. Can you imagine what that feels like for a third grader? For anybody. That was, so I don't think that was such a good thing. I don't think she anticipated that that would happen. She thought that everybody would have a compliment to tell everyone, and then it would be just something nice to do. Well, that didn't happen. So that he happened when he said third grade, but then he said he was 6 years old. So anyway, either way, he carried that all the way up into adulthood, and he had great aspirations to start a business and be an entrepreneur. And not that he didn't become successful, but he realized that that feeling of rejection that he felt all the way back to 6 years old, and here's the kicker, was coming through. But he didn't necessarily connect the dots every time. He just knew that that was the same feeling, right? He connected the dots later. And so when he experienced some other things that were rejection, um, you know, he, he said, wow, he would run away, like he'd avoid whatever the situation was. So he challenged himself to look for 100 rejections. He was going looking for them. And yeah, Jack, that's like go for no. Like you have to desensitize yourself somehow. You have to, and I think that it never feels good for rejection, but your response is different, right? So your response is different, and that's the critical, that's the thing here. So that's what he learned. So it's pretty interesting. So I want to read the first three things that he did, right? So, and I'm not going to keep you on here long, but so the first one was to borrow money from a stranger, borrow $100 from a stranger. So he had to go up to a stranger and ask the stranger for $100. So he did. He found somebody, this gentleman sitting there, whatever. He asked him, "May I borrow $100?" The guy says no. And then something happened. The guy actually asked why. Why was he asking for the $100? But he ran, so he didn't even end up having that conversation. He avoided that one. But that got him to thinking, why did that person, they told me no already, but they asked me why? And so that was his turning point, um, for, thinking about, looking at this differently. This new laptop, how the notifications come up and whatever. So sorry if I'm looking over at the side and trying to figure out what's going on. I've only had it for like 2 days, right? So the second request was really funny. He went into a burger joint, and they give you refills on your drink, but he requested a burger refill, and he asked for a burger refill, and the guy is like looking at him like, no, we don't do that. And he said, like, what is that? The person actually asked a question after he said, no, we don't do that. But then he asked a question. Like, people are curious of why you're asking something. And so maybe you get the rejection because they actually don't know what to do with what you're saying, what you're asking about, what you're telling them. Um, so he had said that he wouldn't run this time, and so he actually had a conversation with the guy about that. He said, it's like a, a drink refill, but it's a burger. He said, maybe that might be a good idea, but no, we don't do that. But he was okay, and he actually felt okay that time. Like, it didn't feel bad because he actually had some engagement, and that was the word that he kept using, engagement. Hey, Jack. Yeah, wow, wow, wow. So, so then the third one, this one's funny too. He just picked some really wild things. So he went to Krispy Kreme. So if I was going to eat a donut, when I have eaten a donut, that is my favorite donut. Glazed is the only kind of donut that I eat. I don't mess with other kind of donuts if I'm going to eat a donut. So he went to Krispy Kreme, and he asked for an Olympic donut, and he thought for sure he'd get a rejection about that. And so, funny thing is, the server actually started to draw it out with what it would look like. He's like, no, it would be like the Olympic rings, donuts like Olympic rings. So she drew it out and what have you. And then she went in the back. And lo and behold, she came out with donuts that look like Olympic rings. I think that is so cool. So he again got, realized that asking, like, staying engaged and not running away, that actually now you're going to learn some different things, you're going to experience some different things, and you may actually turn a rejection into a yes, into an agreement, right? And so he he did two other things that he talked about. He didn't talk about all 100, so I'm not going to go through all 100. But the fourth one was, he asked if he could plant a flower in somebody's yard. Um, and so he went up to somebody's door and he said, hey, yeah, I'd like to plant a flower in your yard. And the person said no. And but the person asked why. Why do you want? Or he asked him. He said, why don't you want? And he said, well, the dog digs them up all the time, and then it's a problem and whatever. So really, but so and so down the street, she loves flowers. You should go and ask her. And lo and behold, he went to that person's house, asked her if he could plant the flower in her backyard, and she said yes. She loved flowers, she loved gardening, and all of that. So now you got a referral. You see the language here for those of you that are, you know, network marketers. You see what's going on. So you have to listen and continue the conversation. Stay engaged. Don't run away. Don't look like, you just rejected me. I'm headed the other way. I'm gone. Right. And the last one was really funny. So he went to Starbucks and he said, hey, I'd like to be a Starbucks greeter. And the person's like, Starbucks greeter? Like, what is that? Well, it's like Walmart. I'd like to bring Walmart greeting to Starbucks, and then he looked at it and he said, well, maybe that's not such a good idea, but you know what I mean. And he's like, well, I don't think that we do that. But so then he asked the server at Starbucks, he said, it's kind of weird, isn't it? And he's like, well, yeah, it's weird. And just that interchange, the defensive of the person went down, and then they had this conversation. We actually did it, but it didn't really turn out. No Starbucks greeter, basically. But the moral of it is that you could actually change no's into yeses. But we get so caught up in that somebody told us no and that they rejected us. And all it is a refusal. What was the definition of refusal? Or dismissing, right? And we spin our response to it as negative rather than seeing as a learning opportunity, staying engaged and seeing what's going on. We think that somebody knows what we want to do. So, like in our Tava business, so I talked to somebody about detox tea. Well, maybe they know absolutely nothing about detox tea. Maybe they're rushing to work and they don't want to have anything to do with talking about detox tea when they're already 10 minutes late for work and they need to go. Um, Maybe they're headed to the hospital to go see someone. You don't know what's going on, but we internalize it and we take it personally. There's that word. So we take it personally. And because we take it personally, actually, that's a selfish act for you to do that. If you read the four agreements, taking things personally means you're staying egocentric. You're thinking that everything revolves around you. Hey, Beverly. Um, hey, Sandra. You think that it's revolving around you, and so that's where your response comes from. But it actually has nothing to do with you. It has to do with whatever's going on with that person. And if you stay engaged, if you continue to build the relationship, then the rejection. But yes, I'm saying all of that. Yes, I have trouble with rejection too. Yes, there are certain things that I take my time about approaching, or certain people going to approach, because I don't want to get rejected. Because, yes, I have that feeling. But as I go along and learn better, actually, I start putting in my head, well, if somebody's not going to pay my mortgage, they're not, buying my food or whatever, that's how I'm going to, like, okay, so what is it going to hurt me for them to say no? They don't have anything to do with my responsibilities, what I need to do, what I plan to do with my money, what my dreams are. So why am I putting that in someone else's hands? So I actually do handle going about rejection a lot better, and actually concentrate on building the relationship, because you never know. So that person says no, but I have had that situation where, but I'll share with someone else, oh, my friend, she may actually benefit from that. And I've actually gotten sales that way. Someone wanted to use the products, someone wanted to tell their friend about it or their relative about it, but they themselves, maybe they have food allergies. I talked to the mammogram lady. The That's not what they call them. It's a mammogram ultrasound tech, and she, I actually said, she was talking about her hair, and so I said, oh, maybe you want to check this out, check out my liquid vitamin. And she says, oh my gosh, I'm like allergic to everything. And so I was cool. I was like, oh, no problem, I'm sorry, yeah, my daughter has lots of allergies, so I understand. And then just went on with the conversation. The other part that I realize is that, and I talk to people about this all the time, she's in between appointments, so she's moving on to the next person. Do you know how many mammograms are going on here, especially with people like me saying go get your mammogram? So she was keeping it moving. She couldn't have a conversation with me about anything or whatever, but I know where she is. So if I needed to go look for her, I can go look for her, and take that conversation up more. But so don't let it, don't let those hurt you. So that whole rejection, but we learn about that from so early on, and those are things that are in our mind, in our subconscious, that we've experienced over time. If you didn't get picked for the team when you're a kid, um, you know, you again, your teacher marked up your paper. I actually dealt with that when I was in English class. I was in an AP English class, and oh, the teacher had her favorites. She definitely had her favorites, and those people that were following the rules and doing the papers the way that she said and what have you. Mine was done differently with different literature. She didn't quite agree with the literature. She didn't agree with my topic. And so my grade was a C. But then I took my AP exam, and I was actually one out of two of the people in the class that actually got high enough score from knowing how to write and dealing with somebody else that's actually going to evaluate my essays. And I was able to test out of 2 semesters of English. So that was money saved for college, right? So that, hey, so rejection is how you respond to it and your emotional intelligence and maturity about responding. And so just keep that in mind. Yes, I'm still learning, so believe me. Yes, I'm talking about this, but I'm sure that Mr. Fleming would not have given me this topic to talk about if he thought that I knew everything about rejection and that I had just overcome rejection, because even successful people do not like rejection. People that have done what I am working to do and where I'm working to get to, they still deal with it as well. But it's your response and then how you learn from that and continue to elevate your mindset so that you can keep going, keep going, keep going. If you have a goal, keep going. Don't let somebody shut you down. There have been people that made 4,000 phone calls to somebody to get their dream realized. Will you do that? I don't know. Hopefully it'll only take you 100 rather than 4,000, but you get the point, right? So it's up here. It's all up here. I'm glad that'll help you, Jack. It's going to help me because I just finished teaching you and I learned some other stuff. I had to go look up stuff and listen to video and take some notes. So that's how you do that too. You keep going and seeing what did other people do in the face of rejection. And he talked about different people, even he talked about Jesus, he talked about Martin Luther King Jr., he talked about other folks that had been rejected at what their ideas were, right? So everyone deals with it. It's just how you deal with it, how you respond to it, and then how you grow from there, so that that doesn't keep holding you back from where you're headed. It actually propels you. So now you have something to push against, right? Sometimes you need something to push against. All right. So that's all I got to say about rejection. I hope you did get something out of that. I do want to say, hey, I got my booster today and I got my mammogram done on my birthday. So take care of yourself, take care of your health. Um, you see that ticker there. If you have not talked to me about the products or what can help you with these areas of mental focus and energy and gut health and all of that, you can certainly call me. My number is 407. What is my number? 407 674 5725. You can text, it's actually a textable number. All right. So I thank everybody for joining me on Night Owl Chronicles. I think it's late enough now. It's like 12:23, right? 12:18. Okay, cool. 12:18. So it's not too late. It's just after midnight. You all have a great night's sleep. If you're not resting well, if you have trouble sleeping, you should also talk to me. I can help you with that too. Anyway, I enjoyed this, and I'll see you all on Sunday night on Night Owl Chronicles. All right. Again, sleep well, rest well, and go be amazing tomorrow. Bye.